There was a dog who walked down the hallway with a bowl in his mouth. The first people to see him laughed. "How cute," they said. "How smart," they said. But the volunteer who had been standing beside him for a long time could not laugh. This dog was not carrying the bowl because he was hungry. He was carrying it because he was afraid. When the world became too loud, when no one was beside him, this dog would quietly take that cold metal bowl into his mouth. It was his only comfort. His name was Wally, and Wally had already spent 1,800 days living inside a shelter. In the spring of 2019, a dog arrived at an animal shelter in New York. Brown fur, short ears, and wounds scattered all across his body. Nobody knew who had done it, or why, or how. Wally said nothing. Dogs do not have words. But when the hands of the staff touched him, Wally gently closed his eyes. That was all. The medical team treated his wounds. A few days passed and the real Wally, the one hiding beneath all that fur, began to show himself little by little. His tail started to wag. His eyes began to shine. He ran around with a toy in his mouth. The staff thought to themselves that this dog would find a family in no time. With how lovable he is, how could anyone not take him home? But one day passed. 1 week passed. 1 month passed. Wally was still there. They say that a shelter feels strange at first, but that with time you get used to it. But getting used to something is not always a good thing. Getting used to the noise. Getting used to the cold floor. Getting used to days when nobody comes. That kind of getting used to things sometimes goes by another name. And that name is giving up. Wally was different. Wally never got used to it. Every time the kennel door opened, he lifted his ears. Every time he heard footsteps, he raised his head, with a look on his face that said, "Maybe today." The volunteers who saw that look could not bring themselves to look away. And then something like a miracle happened. A family chose Wally. The adoption papers were signed. For the first time in his life, Wally slept somewhere that was not a shelter. There was a couch. There was a yard. There was someone who called him by his name. I can only imagine how Wally felt in that moment. Maybe he could not tell if it was a dream or if it was real. But dreams have endings. Nobody knows why. It was not Wally's fault. Even so, Wally came back to the shelter. The kennel door closed. Once more, a second chance came. Another family took Wally home. This time it will work out, everyone at the shelter thought, silently hoping with all their hearts. But in December of 2024, as the cold of winter was beginning, Wally came back again. It was the second time. This time too, it was not his fault. But Wally's body remembered. His heart remembered too. A dog returned twice. A dog given up on twice. As those memories piled up inside him, something in Wally began to change little by little. When the hallway of the shelter grew loud and chaotic, Wally would look for his bowl. That silver metal bowl. He would take it in his mouth. And he would walk down the hallway. Back and forth. Back and forth. A volunteer who saw this recorded a video. She posted it on Instagram. With just a few words. Wally paces back and forth with his emotional support bowl. His bowl brings him comfort in the stressful shelter. It is absolutely heartbreaking to watch. The post spread everywhere. People cried. Comments flooded in. But Wally was still at the shelter. I spent a long time thinking about that image. A dog walking alone down a hallway with a cold metal bowl in his mouth. What was that bowl to Wally? It was not a bowl for food. Maybe it was a bowl for memories. The memory of someone who prepared his meals. The memory of someone who called him by his name. The memory of a warm hand that stroked his head. Maybe all of those memories were being held inside that bowl. Maybe that is why Wally could not let it go. When the world shook, when people disappeared, that bowl was always still there. I have spent a long time watching dogs and I have learned one thing. Dogs do not lie. When they are happy, their tail wags. When they are sad, their eyes grow deep. When they are afraid, their body becomes small. Wally carrying that bowl in his mouth is not a lie. It is a confession that says, "This is all I have." It is a confession that says, "This cold metal bowl is the only thing holding me together right now." That confession settled deep inside me, and I thought about it for a long time. Do we not all have something like that? When things become too much, when nothing feels solid, there is still something we hold on to. It might be an old photograph. It might be a mug we have used for years. It might be a handkerchief left behind by someone we loved, even if it is not the most precious thing in the world. Something that when we hold it in our hands gives us the strength to keep going. For Wally, that something was his bowl. That cold and clumsy metal bowl was everything Wally had. I sometimes think about what it means to wait for so long. As one day passed and then another, and all of those days piled up into 1800, what was Wally doing? Every morning when he woke up, he must have thought, "Will someone come today?" Every time he heard footsteps outside the kennel, he must have lifted his ears. Every time someone's eyes turned toward him, he must have quietly wagged his tail. Those small gestures must have repeated themselves dozens and hundreds of times each day. And today again, if nobody came, Wally would quietly curl up on his bed, with his bowl beside him, his eyes closed, waiting for tomorrow. When Wally steps outside the kennel, everything changes. He runs around. He rolls toys with his mouth. He approaches strangers shyly, carefully. Both of his eyes shine. When you see that Wally, you can feel how much he wants to live. How much he wants to be loved. How much he wants to be beside someone. And that makes it hurt even more. The fact that a dog with eyes like those has been passed over for more than 5 years. The volunteers at the shelter did not give up today either. Today they write Wally's story again. Today they take Wally's photograph again. Wally's journey has been hard, but it is not over yet. He is such a sweet boy. I cannot imagine that the hand of the volunteer who wrote those words did not tremble. How many days have they endured together? How many days have they spent beside Wally, quietly wishing together that today would be the day someone good would come? I know that Wally still has not let go of his bowl. Today he will be walking down that hallway again, with the silver bowl in his mouth, back and forth, back and forth. That image is clear in my mind, but I want to believe that one day different footsteps will be heard in that hallway. That those footsteps will stop in front of Wally's kennel. That a hand will open the kennel door and call Wally by his name. On that day Wally will slowly put his bowl down. The day he finally understands that he is allowed to put it down. The day he no longer has to hold on alone. The day he can hold a warm hand instead of that cold metal bowl. While telling this story today, my heart stayed there for a long time. Not because Wally is a special dog, but because waiting, not giving up, still looking toward the door even after all that time. This small dog is showing us with his whole body just how much courage that takes. We all pass through moments like this in our lives. Things that never come no matter how long we wait. Days when we reach out our hand twice and both times have to come back. And still opening our eyes again the next morning. Wally does that every single day, quietly, on that cold bed inside the shelter. Before that courage I bow my head deeply today. I hope with all my heart that Wally's waiting does not go on much longer. I hope that warm final chapter is already very close. Please subscribe to the channel and wait together with us for Wally's day.